Please start.
Hello, good evening. We welcome all our audiences to this IAI3 Edutalks session. So today our session is going to be very interesting because we have a journalist and she is an investigative journalist. So we welcome you, Mrs. Neeta Deshmukh. Ma'am, welcome to our show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Yeah.
So IAI3, it stands for the International Association of Industry Institute Interface, and we run courses for the last 20 years. And of course, in the pandemic, we have gone online, but our courses are mainly to encourage employability for the youths, for the working professionals. And now a lot of people have joined the workforce, whether they're senior citizens or housewives or artisans. So we have decided to bring forward and show them what are the careers available, because in the pandemic, everything went online. So new platforms came up, the OTT or stories on gaming on the phone, and so many jobs came up. So in the last few days, we have had voiceover artists, we've had musicians, and we've had people who've used their skills to make a sustainable living. Now, IAI3 Edutalk, they are basically conversations with stories of simple people, showcasing their lives, but because of their hard work and self-belief, they made a dent for themselves. We also wanted to talk about COVID warriors or people who help humanity. Sometimes a single idea, it became a large movement. So these are the kind of people we would like to invite on our show. Of course, it's really strange and a little humorous. A lot of people ask me that how ordinary do we have to be to come onto your show? So you don't have to be really very ordinary. You're welcome on our show anytime. And then our vision was to call proficient people, even from traditional careers such as engineering, architecture, journalism, and let them speak to our audiences about the strengths, the challenges about taking a career in that line, where they can get training and so on. And of course, lastly, we wanted our audiences to become a community of helpers, motivate them, and talk to them about education. So I'm Anjali Sanghavi, and I'm a soft skills trainer. I'm your host for this evening. It is with great reverence, and it is a great, profound honor for me to introduce to you Mrs. Neeta Deshmukh. Whether it is editorship, authorship, or her work in journalism, she has been brilliant. And all her hard work she has translated into helping people. So Mrs. Neeta Deshmukh, she is the editor of a pan-India business magazine, a very well-respected magazine with a huge circulation, and it is called The Corporate Citizen. She is also the consulting editor for a magazine called Money Life, and she runs a column on Wednesdays where she talks about stories of people who took help of the Right to Information Act. She has been with the Indian Express for a very long time as a journalist, and all her achievements, her experiences, her expertise, we are going to talk to her about it. Neeta has won several awards. One was given to her by Mrs. Menaka Gandhi, that was the Web Wonder Woman Award. And there was another award called the Ladli Media Award and the Acharya Award. So the list of accomplishments are so long and so many. So I'm going to speak about a few of them. The rest we are going to ask Neeta. And she has also authored many books. She has written a book called To the Last Bullet, which she co-authored with Mrs. Vinita Kamte, wife of Ashok Kamteji, additional commissioner who was killed in the terrorist attack of 26/11. She has written another book, which was a bestseller, The Mighty Fall. And then she wrote a lovely tribute to her husband, From Grieving to Healing. And she wrote 2 books for Yashta, which is the Nodal Training Institute for the Government of Maharashtra. Both of them have to do with the Right to Information Act. Vineeta is the champion of Section 4 of the RTI. And she has helped many, many people in her journey. She is also involved in environmental issues. And the hill stations of Mahabaleshwar and Panchgani, she has got them into the eco-sensitive zone. So we will talk to her about that as well. She's invited to many, many workshops in India and abroad. She's been to Bangkok, she's been to the Oxford University, where they discuss several topics, not just RTI, but federalism and many relevant topics. So Vineeta, she has been with the Indian Express in many capacities. She has been the feature editor, the deputy resident editor, the senior editor, and editor of Citizen, which was and enjoyed an unprecedented popularity as a magazine for over 7.5 years. She is an alumni of Vincent School of Berhampur. She did her history BA honors from the Ferguson College, Pune. And ma'am, once again, we welcome you to our show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
So Vineeta, we all want to know about the editorship of Corporate Citizen. See, there are so many articles. There are insights by corporate heads. There is health, campus recruitment, interviews, and then wellness, cooking, movies, couple goals, relevant topics in the business world. So what does it take to be an editor of such a prestigious magazine? Please share with us.
Yeah, thank you first for having me here. And since the last 7 years, I am the editor of Corporate Citizen, fortnightly business magazine. And this magazine is absolutely unique other than the other business magazines which you generally read. And the theme of it is contemporary corporate thoughts. Because India's industry and the corporate world has expanded massively, not only after the IT sector, but even other sectors, whether be it manufacturing, be it telecom industries, hospitality industry. There are various sectors which have expanded so much. And of course, you have the startups, the entrepreneurs. So all these have brought out hundreds and thousands of Indians who are so successful and brilliant in their lives. However, if you see the traditional newspapers or magazines, they generally cover only the traditionally famous ones, the popular ones. And there is a whole lot of treasure which we do not know. So the idea of this magazine is that we profile and interview personalities who have made a life and career for themselves by either reaching the high positions in the corporate sector or being entrepreneurs, and have spread economic prosperity for so many people around them. That is one. And although we do famous, we also interview famous people, but there are many new famous people who are in India today. And the second point is that there are several conferences like held by CII and NHRD, wherein the experts like these senior corporate leaders, be it in the HR, marketing, manufacturing, whichever side, CEOs, financial side, they give talks or they have very invigorating sessions. Now, these are absolute precious treasures which are not recorded in black and white by any newspaper or magazine. You will see that after the entire day's conference, you just have like 6-7 paragraphs that are reported in the newspaper.
Yes,
but since our magazine is devoted to the corporate, contemporary corporate thoughts, we pick up each and every word and edit it and put it that in the magazine, so that we have a large group of young managers, student managers who are our subscribers, besides the middle level professionals and senior corporate leaders. So they actually are learning apart from the textbooks. Textbooks have got a certain periodicity once it is published. But here you have this corporate magazine, which is like an oven from where baked bread is being freshly brought out every fortnight and given to the future managers of this country. So, and then of course we have the lighter side, where we have youngsters talking about their campus placements, about the love marriages, or little bits on health. So that's the whole, potpourri of things which interest people and is well received.
That's right. You have to have some human interest stories also, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The softer side. Would you like
Yeah,
to tell
most
us
of
a
the
little bit
stories
about
are
the column
human
you run on
interest,
Wednesday?
Sorry,
Yes.
most of the stories are human interest because we tell the story through the person.
Yes.
So he narrates, so many anecdotes, his turning point of life. So it becomes extremely interesting instead of just talking about some technical analysis and financial analysis of a company.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because data sometimes it becomes a little hard news, would you like to tell us a little bit about the column you run on Wednesdays for Money Life? Because you said that you showcase some stories over there. Please do share with us.
Sure. So since 2011, Sucheta Dalal, who's the managing editor of Money Life, and Padma Shri, who broke the Harshad Mehta scam, she requested me in January of 2011 that, why don't you write a right to information column for us? Because up to the time of 2005, when the RTI Act was implemented in India, a journalist only had a tool that is a pen, or you can say the typewriter or computer, and
Right.
he or she had to officially get the truth or the information from the officers themselves. So, and like how the bureaucracy is, or how the political leaders are, they would like to hide a lot of things. And so it was an immense task for us journalists to actually, bring out that information. We did it, of course, with great skill. And, Arun Shauri, we have great people like Arun Shauri and all who really were remarkable journalists of this country. But when the Right to Information Act came in 2005, and our then resident editor, Mr. Prakash Kardare, he propagated this RTI Act and said that it is not only for citizens, but there is Section 4 in the RTI Act wherein you can just, any citizen during the working hours of the office can straight away go and demand the files. Be it, as simple as why is the garbage outside my house, or what are the funding, electoral fundings, or whatever. You want to break a scandal at the national level, right from the micro information for a farmer in a village to breaking a national scandal, you could use the Section 4 or the Section 6 of the RTI Act. And that is how, I started using the RTI Act from 2005. In fact, from 2003, when the Maharashtra RTI Act was in place. And I found that it is one of the most beautiful ways of bringing 100% truth to the readers. Because here you have certified documents that the government office gives you. And based on that, you are writing a story.
Yes.
So it is a wonderful double tool for a journalist now. And therefore, I keep on using it for all my stories. And so Sucheta wanted a column wherein the citizens are empowered as to how they could use the RTI Act. Because earlier the journalists had a chip on their shoulder. If they showed a Times of India or Indian Express card, they thought, they were very special people because they could get the information. Or a member of the parliament thought that he was the most important because the industry guys, let's say, used to pay thousands of rupees to him to get one, ask a question in the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. But today, every citizen can do that. So the journalist is nobody great.
Wow.
Every citizen is an activist and journalist because you can procure information that you want. And there have been many times wherein common citizens have provided me with RTI documents that were wonderful and made for a very great investigative story.
Yes.
So all of us are empowered, and that's what I do in my RTI column since the last, I think now 10 years or more. 10 years or more. I've broken stories of the then President Pratibha Patil's illegal use of the military land to build her post-retired home, and she had to give it back because 14 days continuously I wrote with the help of RTI documents. I did the Dow chemicals and several stories actually now I'm suddenly not remembering, but all of them had an impact through this column in Money Life.
Yes. Yes, I can imagine. But is it easy to, approach the authorities and get the information of the RTI Act and interpretation, and how can one bring it out to the public? So you've done all that, Vinita, which is a great help, because most of us, being common people, we don't know much. What are our privileges, rights as citizens? So I think that you've done a great social service. Congratulations on that.
No, thanks, but I would also like to add that, most of the Indian
All of that,
citizens,
yeah.
they do not want to know this kind of, they do not want to be alert, they do not want to be active, they do not want to be proactive, That's the reason why all these corrupt politicians, they are just a small fraternity of them ruling over us. We are crores of us, but they are united and we are divided.
Yeah,
But
sure.
RTI Act is a great unifier. I wish that everybody uses it.
Wow, and I'm glad they drafted it and published it and made it a law, so that people have these kind of access to bringing out things that are going wrong. Vinita, we are very keen on knowing about your books, To the Last Bullet, and tell us about the research, the work, and what was your great passion to bring it out. Please share with us.
Yeah, so To the Last Bullet, the credit cannot go so much to me as much as it should go to Vinita Kamte. Because here also, she actually used the Right to Information Act. That was like something, one of the most wondrous thing that she did, despite having lost her husband so suddenly and having two young children.
Yeah.
So actually, it was not supposed to be a book, but that time I was the editor of Intelligent Pune. And after this, I just thought I should just speak to Vinita Kamte. She was from Pune, and do a story on all that happened through her eyes. And then when I spoke to her, we met over a cup of coffee. And when she started telling me that she had actually put her RTI in the South Mumbai control room to get access to the audio records and the manuscripts. After the Justice Sri Krishna Commission, after 1993 Bombay riots, he made it, a recommendation was that any such tense situation in any city, they have to be compulsorily be recorded in the control room, so that the conversations between the control room and the ground and officers or constables on ground zero are recorded. So that is how, when the terror night happened, all the recordings were there with the Mumbai control room, and she had access to all of them. That is, she asked for information from the 26th of November, 7 p.m. up till the morning of 27th November, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And she, of course, had to fight a lot. That is another story which is long. But the long and short of it is that she actually got the audio recordings, and she and her twin sister, Revati, who's today a High Court judge in the Bombay High Court, they have burned the midnight oil, hearing the entire transcription. And it just shows how, negligent was the Mumbai control room in communicating with these officers who were on ground zero, and for which reason they had to give up their lives. They would never have died if the people at the anchor would have really done their job. I mean, there was even a call log record wherein a constable is saying, "Arey, rag de wo phone aur tandoori biryani mangwa le." That yet in such emergency situation, the kind of casualness that was there, the control room. So I told her that this is not just one story for Intelligent Pune Weekly, but I would love to write a book on it. And then the whole family met, and we decided how to do it. So basically scripted the whole book, and went through the way it should be done. And it turned out to be such a bestseller that there were so many pirated copies. They say that flattery is the best mode of imitation. And in fact, I would like to also add that it had taken the nation by such storm that when my husband was traveling, he stopped at the petrol pump, and he happened to have two copies of To the Last Bullet at the behind there.
Yes.
Yeah, so this guy, he just came running and he says, "Sir, I'm ready to pay any amount of money. I cannot find this book. Can I please buy it from you?" So my husband just gave it off to him,
Yeah, what
So
an
it was
honor.
that kind of an impact, wherein one woman who was in mourning, so sorrowful, had such a tragedy, just picked up her guts to tell the state and the central home ministry, which kept on saying that these, I don't want to name, but there were high level columnists who wrote they were foolish, they went together, and all kinds of rubbish. But this lady stood up, and many books were written by foreign authors on the Mumbai terror always has Vinita Kamte's interview or this chapter of the To the Last Bullet. However, our country being what it is, despite she having given solid evidence, nothing's going to happen to the culprits and they go scot-free, whereas everybody forgets 26/11, except on that day where they just want to, shed crocodile tears.
Yes, yes. And the amount of tenacity and courage it needed for a lady who had just lost her husband, it was so horrific because it wasn't expected, and she put everything together and she wrote that book with, I think, with your help and all the investigation to carry it to its conclusion. So hats off to her and hats off to you too, Vinita. Amazing. Please tell us a little bit about the Mighty Fall, if you would like to tell us about the research that goes into it, the investigation.
Yeah. Okay, so the Mighty Fall is about my two success stories in RTI. One is the President Pratibha Patil retirement home scandal, and the other is a Dow Chemical scandal. And along with that, I have just put in some short success stories of RTI. Okay. So I'll just quickly tell you that President Pratibha Patil, when she was the President of India, everybody really was happy that it was the first woman president. However, RTI application put in by Colonel Suresh Patil to the Home Ministry. He asked this question that after a president of India retires, what are the benefits of a home for him or her? Right. So the answer that he got from the Home Ministry was that he or she is allotted 4,800 maximum, 4,800 square feet of a government house, which is already built in any city or town that the president wants to retire in. However, she had usurped A1 military land in Kharki to the tune of 260,000 square feet. And she had started building her retirement home. So when Colonel Patil got hold of this information and plus the photographs of where the construction was going on, he had 4 press conferences in 4 different cities, including Pune. However, no one was ready to publish it because by that time, journalism had been compromised. And it was thought that people who are in the establishment are like the people who you should not write against. And so nobody published it. So one fine day he called me. At that time, I was launching the English newspaper of Aaj Ka Anand along with Gashi and a big team. So he said that, this is what has happened. So I told him, of course, please come and show me everything. So when he came and I saw those documents, and next day, it was my Wednesday, actually, my RTI column. So I wrote about it. And when I wrote about it, next day in the early morning, I always get up at around 4. I just saw that my email was completely jammed with mails from, as far as like Kuwait and Netherlands and New Zealand, Australia, everywhere, saying that I've done a great job. And, if they want any funds to, whip up this campaign. So at that time, I was like thinking, I just like wrote this story. So I decided that I should get more RTI documents to ensure that, what is the story behind it. So right from the Southern Command to the Defense Estate Office, and with the help of my friend in Delhi. So I procured certain documents where even the president's office, the secretariat of the president's office stated that this is unprecedented and how could this be given any permission? So that was the file noting which I caught hold of. So I did this over 14 days, and then he sent the Tripura governor, again, Mr. Patil, to come down here and tell us that we should not be taking this campaign ahead, by which time, Commander Ravindra Pathak, Colonel Suresh Patil and myself were on the roadside of the collector office collecting signatures to file a petition in the Supreme Court. So when that Tripura governor came, I tweeted in the morning. So, and Sucheta, she said, just keep on highlighting it in the Twitter. So we used to go on putting it on the Twitter and Facebook, my every story. And then when I got a sign that the Tripura governor himself wants to come, we put it up on Twitter. By the time he reached, his house, the whole media had gharawed him. So he didn't come out. So, but he sent somebody else who was also a patil. There were too many patils in this story. And then when we told him, no, we are going to go to the Supreme Court, the next day, the Secretariat issued a press release saying that she has returned the land. So that was like a major victory, not because I wrote the story, but because the right to information, it's only because of the Right to Information Act that the people could know, come out with this truth. And that day, from 6 p.m. till midnight, I was from one TV studio to another. And my dear husband was with me, supplying me sandwiches and, some juices and all used to get from here and there. So it was like such a remark. I'd become all red and hot by the 12 noon with all those lights. So I compiled this whole thing into a book so that for the record that how RTI is empowering people. It is, forcing accountability, transparency from these powers that be, which used to be let off.
Yes.
So that was the book.
Yes, I can imagine. And it indeed needs a lot of perseverance, to see it to its end. And then I think there was one more book, if you would like to speak about it, because I enjoyed reading it very much. It was From Grieving to Healing.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is like a sad book because I love my husband more than my journalism. And then suddenly he just passed away when we were in a walk, during our walk at Parvati Hill, though he was all hale and hearty and there was nothing wrong with him. In fact, he was very muscular and very always jovial and cheerful and a real genuine and a man with dignity and decorum. So that was like a very big shock.
That's right.
So that time I had this Samsung tablet. And then after 3 weeks, I just decided that, I just need to get back to my work. And my office is pretty far in Ravit. So as I used to travel, and I used to always travel with him because I used to first drop him to the office. So as I was traveling, I used to keep writing a poem dedicated to him. And it used to just like come out from the heart. I never said that this is the subject of the poem. But whatever from the heart I felt about him, as to keep on writing. And I just then wrote 33 poems in a matter of like 3-4 weeks. Then after I kept those, all those poems, all dedicated to him. Then after I said that I'll just do a bit of a prose to say what happened, what is death, it is like, even till now when death didn't come to me so early, which I never thought it would, I was to think it is, oh yeah, please go forward in life, don't look back and things like that. But then I have written a sonography of death in that book, like I'm very happy that humanity doesn't know what is sorrow till such time that your near one dies, so that is why we all are happy and we can like clinically give condolences, or the society has prepared certain norms, some 13 days, some soul going away, and if you cry the soul will be unhappy. So I've written in one of my poems, where's the proof? I said, for a journalist, you need a proof, right? You are telling me the soul is unhappy. How do I know? So it is just to suppress you, to suppress your sorrow and just tell you that, damn, better not cry for him. So that's why I've written a sonography of death and all it happened. And Mohan Agashi, I interviewed on he being a psychiatrist, on his take on death. And I compiled a book, tributes from all the friends who just loved him so much, so they have put in their tributes. And that's what Grieving to Healing is all about. So I have like kind of, recorded all that thing so I don't forget my husband. Then what happened is that the COVID came and I had to work 24/7, work from home. And I've never lived without my husband, Vishwas, at home alone. So then that's when, I just told him that, okay, you come back to the bench from where you passed away. And I have to tell you a story which is never happened in this world. So I named her Lady Corona. And the entire book is a poetic dialogue between him and me of the philosophical and the social reasons why Corona struck this world in one go. So that poetry book is called Lady Corona. And last year it was released by Barkha Dutt, and it has now been translated into Marathi, and it will be soon released. So that's what these books are about.
That is so beautiful to write so many poems on your husband whom you love so much. And poetry, it's such a beautiful way to express emotions. All the imagery one can use and everything that comes pouring out of the heart. We will all read this book because we would love. Sometimes writing in Marathi, which is your language, it might be the best thing to do, because when we translate it to another language, a lot of the beauty of the emotions is compromised, maybe. So Marathi.
Yeah, but you know, Grieving to Healing has been translated by a very well acclaimed journalist, Mr. Anil Takarkar, who's the group editor now of Pudhari, and he's been with Lok Satta and Sakar and all, and he's just done such a fabulous translation even of the poems, you know, so it is really nice.
I'd love to read that in Marathi. That's so beautiful. And then you've done so many good works for other people, and for that you have been awarded. See, recognition, of course, comes from huge organizations, but the fact that you stepped out and you did it, would you like to tell us the stories behind your awards, your Web Wonder Woman Award? How did you get it?
Awards, yeah, awards are just an occasion to feel good for that day, because you know, you have to like it is, you know, my editor, Mr. Prakash Kardare, he, when I was a very young journalist in my 20s, you know, so I had broken a story. It was just like a 1 year for me in journalism, and I was so proud about it, you know, that I was like everywhere. I was like so cheerful and all that. And suddenly, you know, Mr. Kardare, he just called me and he said that, okay, so what are you talking about? So I told him, no, I've just done this story and this one called up and all. And he said, please remember, he was so angry. He said, please remember that a journalist is like a raddi, forgotten 24 hours after the newspaper comes to the reader's hands, you know. So if you want to be a good journalist, you don't have to discuss your good stories. You have to relentlessly write till your last breath. So, you know, you can't even be happy that you got an award, or, you know, you written a good story, because tomorrow people say, "Arey, wo to likhti thi, wo Vinita Deshmukh, abhi to kuch nahi karti," you know. So people forget. So that is the thing for awards. But yeah, you know, that award which I got for the Ladli Media Award is because a lady woman constable in Pune, she was a very hard worker. But, you know, she used to see that in her department, all the male colleagues would hardly come, like they would take leave without informing. So she invoked the RTI Act and to get information on the, to get a copy of the muster roll as to what are the attendees and this, and so she would take it forward to her boss. So when the male constables came to know that she's done this, in the night, one of the male constables, while she was guarding the gate of the Pune Police Commissionerate, went and physically assaulted her. So that's the time she came and approached Mr. Vijay Kumbhar, who's an RTI activist. And then, you know, we both got involved in it. I wrote that story. And not only that, I, you know, wrote to the National Women's Commission. Then I went to the Pune Police Commissioner. That time, you know, his name, I mean, I just forget, but it was very horrifying. I took his appointment and he actually told me that, oh, so you want to believe this lady? So I'll ensure and keep doing rounds to the courts. You know, he said something like that, really mean. But anyway, so I took up a case, and that's the reason they had awarded me for the Ladli Media Award. And for the Web Wonder Woman Award, they were looking at women in some 15 to 18 fields who used the social media to amplify their work. You know, so in the journalist section, I got it, because today is very important that you have to amplify it through the social media. How much ever people may curse social media, and how much ever a small group of people may use it for all
Yes.
nasty stuff and
Yes.
to build hatred, to spread hatred, religious animosity, they are just a minority. Because today at the click of on your mobile, every hour you can just check out what is the status of the news. You have some beautiful, inspiring, powerful, positive stories which you can learn from. You have the empowerment of having a large audience with just the tip of your fingers. You don't need money
Yes.
for it.
Yes.
Earlier
Yes.
earlier for group SMSs used to pay 1,000, 1,500 for 100 messages, all those things. Today
Yes.
there's just nothing. The citizen is completely empowered. But the citizen, I mean, those who are using the social media for the wrong methods, soon their tribe is going to die out. Because even the social media, the Twitter and Facebook are just taking so much action against such bad stuff. So those who amplify through the social media their good work, they were with, and incidentally, the award was with the of Twitter, one more NGO, and the Ministry of Women and Child Development, which at that time Maneka Gandhi was heading.
Okay.
That was in
Okay.
2019. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. And how about the Acharya Award? Award?
Though that was for that the Mighty Fall.
Okay. Okay. That's so some. It's so satisfying. It's satisfying to know that people are recognizing that, that the lady cop got assaulted or land has been grabbed, and so a lot of wrongs have been righted because of all this good work you've done, Vineeta. We would like to know, because you have 31 years in journalism, all that work and all the public stories that you did in the Indian Express.
Yeah.
Would you like to
So
tell
the
us
Indian
about your time
Express
there?
Pune was a unique edition because of Mr. Prakash Kardare, who was the resident editor, and he did not believe in just confining the news to the columns of the newspaper. He believed that a newspaper should be proactive. So
Yes.
he extended it and made a what is called, famously called, was the Express Citizens Forum, which turned out eventually to be the most powerful citizen pressure group in Maharashtra, wherein whether it was a Mantralaya, whether it was a political leaders, whether it was a local municipal corporation people, they all had such high regard for the ECF, as it was called, because he brought in a lot of senior defense officers, who had retired and were in Pune, civil services officers, then NGOs and activists, dynamic women, like, we had Kani Sukrani and Geeta Veer. So he brought them all together to make it into a, so powerful was the edition because of him, that not only we had civic stories, like I think that was my period when I was there for 20 years, but the first 14 years, it was my period of intense public journalism, and intense public journalism, community journalism, which was unprecedented in India till then. Anybody else can take the limelight, because in English newspapers do not go beyond the Delhi and Bombay, but the fact is that it was in Pune which created history in public journalism, and at that time the Times of India was completely decimated. I mean, we had such a huge circulation that the Times of India could not withstand, that. But unfortunately, what happened, or after 14 years and after Mr. Prakash Kardare kind of, ceased to be the resident editor, everybody started aping Times of India and, aping this, what did they call that name, where you paid news, the paid news, the celebrity news, and, putting glamour into the newspaper. All those things started coming, and it completely crushed the genuine journalism. But so my best years were that, when we did this public journalism, and Mr. Kardare used to here, today the editors, there are such bright young journalists today, but their spirit is killed, because the editor will say that, the management is not going to allow this story to go in. They have political affiliations, they have corporate affiliations. So even if the young journalist is brilliant, his whole, what do you call it? Ambition is crushed.
Yes.
So but now these young journalists, they are not stopping just newspapers. They are in the OTT platform. They are in the social media. You should follow Sahil Menghani, a young boy of 24 years who is doing journalism. He does journalism only on Twitter and Facebook. He goes to does ground reporting, right? Yeah, whether it is farmers protest, whether anything, he does it. So they have found a new voice through this, thanks to technology. So I don't know whether your question, I just went a bit astray, but what I wanted to, could you just tell the question?
Yeah, we were talking about all your awards and all the work that you've done for the Indian Express. So it's a highly respected newspaper because...
No. So for the Indian Express, it was all to do with human interest stories, environment, civic stories, investigative journalism, all potpourri together, but it was meaningful journalism. That's what I did. And I'm so happy that I was in that era, where we could just pursue this, because Mr. Kazi used to tell us that you are in the battlefield. Like when you are reporting a story, he said, I am in the ivory tower and you are in the battlefield. So you will tell me the truth and you will tell me how the story is unfolding. Unlike now, wherein, the editors will just discard your stories or tell you, oh, please don't go, there's no use. This is the opposition, you cannot take, this is a corporate guy who gives advertisements. But that time, editorial and marketing were watertight compartments. The marketing managers did not have the guts to even come into the editorial side and say that, please, can you, definitely you must use this and it has to go on one page, first page and all. No, they might leave a press release with a request, but it was up to the editor what to do.
Yes, that's amazing because it was such truthful reporting.
Yeah.
Without any fear, psychosis or anything. So that was so laudable. And now you had done a lot of environmental work for Mahabaleshwar and Panchgani. So do share with us a little about that as well.
Yeah. So what happened is that in journalism, you always need somebody to give you a tip or, a clue.
Yeah.
It always helps to trigger off a story. Yeah. So what happened was the late Mr. Shyam Chainani of the Bombay Environmental Action Group, he was a very passionate environmentalist, especially of everything in Mumbai, Pune and Western Maharashtra.
Yeah, and the hills, yes, Sayadri Hills, yes.
So he never used to go on a holiday. So he was a workaholic, pursuing his passion. So one day when he went to Mahabaleshwar, he suddenly found there's a lot of this construction being done. And he was a master at getting government circulars, studying them, study reports, that time Arun Bhatia had submitted a study report on Mahabaleshwar Panchgani. So he clicked all those pictures and then he rang up our editor, Mr. Kardare, and said that, look, I think that Indian Express, should be taking up this story because it is very serious and we might lose our hill station, which is the most charming hill station in the entire Western Maharashtra. So then after, Mr. Kardare got those photographs, he also got alarmed and alerted. He took all of us, the photographer, 2-3 of us, and, actually visited those places where he had taken out photographs and found that indeed, it is like quite a deadly story. So he assigned me that story. And then for several days, it came. I mean, of course, altogether, we had written those stories for 4.5 years. But initially, there were a series of some 10-15 stories which would appear every day on as an anchor on page 1. And every day, there's to be a photograph of some hotel which had been illegally built or, or under construction or whatever it is. So I still remember that once my friend called up my husband and he said, do you realize like what kind of stories your wife is doing? You have little children and all these guys are like underworld and they can harm your family, your kids, and her also. So when I was like cooking in the kitchen and, my husband came and told me, this is what, my friend is saying. So, I just like looked at him and I said, oh, so you don't want me to do something. You want somebody else to do it, or you want nobody to do it. And you don't mind this country like going to the dogs. He was like he was so alarmed, he was so stunned, he just like went out, he took a walk through the corridor and he came back to me and he's telling me that, okay, I'm giving you a promise today that my contribution to the society will be to let you do your own profession and not just, give you some yarn on it. That was really so sweet,
So
that.
sweet, really.
Yeah, because I know that those days, not
So
now, but those days, I know that husbands would like their wives only to write soft stories.
yes.
And so that they get a kind of a, byline or association with a big newspaper, but nothing that would be risky,
Yes,
so
yeah,
to
that's
say.
right. It's like a
Yeah, so that's why,
safety zone.
I just give him all the credit
Yes,
for
that's true.
everything that I do.
A
Yeah.
lot of support and motivation
Yeah.
that just go for it, do it. Oh, how sweet is that? It's really very nice. And then these conferences that you have attended in India and abroad, the workshops, are they mainly to do with RTI or do they take up some other subjects also?
No, so the ones that I attended in Bangkok was basically a media conference for saving the environment, and that time, climate change and all those things. So in a very nascent stage. But not the UNO, but there is UNEP, United Nations Environment Protection Program. They were getting journalists from all over the world to start telling them as to, why these stories should be written about. So that's how, I'd gone to Bangkok. Also, for that, I'd gone to Oxford University because there was a conference on federalism, which was not really my subject, but as a journalist, they wanted to have my view. But although I enjoyed those conferences, but fact remains that conferences are just, what do you call it, rudderless, useless, and of no use at all. Because all they do is that they keep you in these 5-star hotels and give you good food to eat and lovely rooms to stay in and talk some gibberish during the conference. And after that, there is just no follow-up. I'd rather like be a grounds person,
Yes, yes.
barefoot soldier of
Yes.
journalism and of the society to amplify what is happening on ground than just be flying around in these aircrafts. And finally, after that, nothing was achieved. I don't know a single person. I don't remember the name of the people also who were all there. It was so superficial and shabby, I should say.
Yes, I know.
So I'm not
It's so nice
overawed
to
with
work
this
at the
conference.
grassroots. Yeah, I'm sure. It's better to work hands-on, grassroots level. Makes a lot of difference. Vinita, we are also inspired by you. Humbly, I'm saying that, and sincerely. So now that, what are the new peaks that you want to scale in future? What future plans?
As every human being, I'm also getting older and older. So actually, after my husband has passed away, I never think of future. In fact, whenever I did my journalism, or for me, my life is like today.
Yes.
I never thought, because I just think that if you do the right thing and not the convenient thing, because it is very easy to get tempted to do the convenient thing. But if you do the right thing, you won't believe that God is just there to help you. Like, I don't
Yes.
believe in
God
God
is
in the
with
sense
you. Yes.
visiting temples and doing some puja and all that. No, but you do the right thing and you have to get help from some power, and they may come in the form of human beings or whatever, in books or some thing that you stumble upon. So, and then after my husband died, because I also always think like you live happily ever after. That's what the fairy tales tell us, that once you're married, like you're forever married,
You
but it
never
doesn't
imagine
happen
that
that
the day
way.
will come.
Yeah. And now it's happening so much because of COVID. Forget my husband, at least we were married for 38 years. There's so
Yes.
many young people who have lost their near and dear ones. It is so sad, and it has become a reality that you have to live with such tragedies and go on. So you have a choice whether to grumble, rumble, and lead your life, or whether to kind of try and come out of it. So I do 3.5 hours of yoga every day. Like I went through a lot, 4 years. I went through a lot of, panic attacks and a lot of emotional and physical stuff, that really spoiled my health. So today, as I'm doing since the last 1 or 2 years, I have started morning 6:30 to 8, I do Art of Living yoga, and evening 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. I do my yoga. Oh, it's all online. So after that,
Amazing.
now,
3.5 hours.
yeah, every day 3.5 hours, except on Sunday. So that has actually helped me to become strong.
Yeah.
Like now I know that it's okay. It was like a milestone. Like Vishwas is a milestone in my journey. He cannot be. So I have just said that I am nobody's wife now. And that has helped me, because every time I used to get connected, like I was Vishwas's wife, that was just eating me up. So today
Yes.
I say that when I was 18 years, I met him. But before 18 years, I didn't even know that Vishwas existed on this earth, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is how I start living. So I don't have any plans for the future. I'm also writing another book, which
Yes.
will soon, like in a month or two, it will be released, but I don't want to talk about it now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But as much, I think what I want to do, I don't have any plan about it, but I just think that the value of money has reached vulgar levels and the value of life has reached the nadir. So I want, through little tidbits of simple words, tell people that you need to bring back those values in life. Whether
Sure.
it is in your own personal life, in your career, in the society around you, only value matters. The value of life and your health. Value of health. These are the only two things that are going to matter. I think by that time, like I would be no more, because as per the experts, like Dr. Peter Hotez just said, that there are going to be at least another 6-7 variants coming. And like the annual cyclones, you have to get equipped to deal with these kind of viruses. Okay, so 8, 9, 10 cousins of COVID are already in the, along the way that are going to come. So that is why health and values. I wish I can propagate this and keep on enriching myself by doing that myself. I don't want to preach, but I would like to do it myself and be like a walk the talk kind of a person.
Yeah. You become like an icon, and people follow you.
Please, no,
And
no,
then
no,
walk the
I'm not
talk,
icon. Like
and
you
I
wrote it,
suppose
you wrote
you don't
iconic
want to
and all.
become one.
Sorry, you wrote iconic
I
journalist. I'm
think
not
I
an
should.
iconic journalist. I'm a veteran journalist, you can say.
Yes, yes. And I, enjoyed reading that article on empathetic leadership where you say people are looking for very good minds, the people with values. So I think that's what you would like to do in future, is help people find their values and their, center point. They should sort of center themselves. But it was so enlightening, Vineeta, to speak with you,
Thank
and
you.
we're so inspired by you, and what an interesting life you've led. And we wish you a lot of luck, a lot of success in the causes that you support, editorship and authorship and journalism. And we wish to have you on our show many, many times. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for coming,
much.
Vineeta.
It was a pleasure
It's been a
talking to
pleasure
you.
to be with.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
and see you soon again.
Sure.
Best wishes. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Good night. See you.
Good night. See you.
Should I leave?
Yes, I think.
And Anjali ma'am, हो गया?